Hey, what is going on, guys? It's Bag of Trixx here, and today I'm bringing you another deck profile. This time, it is on my updated Cosmo list that I made about a week before the ban list came out. This deck, it's still pretty strong, but it's nowhere near as what it used to be, because Dark Destroyer at 3 really made this deck shine, but now that it's at 1, this deck, it's just a sliver of what it used to be. If you have not, you should check out my Twitch livestream. It is where I do showcases for all of these decks that I profile. And yeah, let's just go ahead and get started with it. I don't have to do too much explaining, but I will still go ahead and do it just because I like to do in-depth profiles. But let's just go ahead and get started with the deck. You already saw the first card. It's triple tin can. You still have to run 3. You'll never run less than 3. Tin can, just getting that tin can search is extremely crucial. Getting the cards in the graveyard's not that bad either. We do have Call of the Haunted and Dark Eclipser, which can get cards out of the graveyard, but like, you just gotta get that tin can search. This is still your best end phase play if you have no other thing to do. Like, if you can just get tin can to get your tin can search, you just have to do it. So 3 tin can all the way. We do run 2 straw man. You have to play straw man at 2. You can't play any less, because we do run Pot of Desires in the deck, and if you banish your only copy of straw man, you are gonna have a pretty rough game, because straw man is a very important card. Just getting those ships out of the banish zone so they pop at the end phase to float into tin can to do tin can plays is extremely prominent, and you have to run the 2. We do run the 2 Farm Girl. We had to bump Farm Girl up to 2 for the same reason as Straw Man. You don't want to banish your only copy of Farm Girl off of the Desires. And on top of that, the Farm Girl poke in the battle phase is very important, because like, this could be your primary search to get your Dark Destroyer if you have not already used it, because that 1 Dark Destroyer does hurt. So we do run 2 Farm Girl. We also run the 1 Sword Trooper. Getting that pilot out of the graveyard is very essential, depending on which pilot is in the graveyard. Like, obviously, your primary target is always going to be Dark Lady. You only need the 1 copy of each of these, because Sword Trooper, granted, it's not the most important, but it is a pilot. And then Dark Lady, just negating monster effects, is very important, but as we all know with playtesting Dark Lady, when you run any more than 1 copy, it just breaks really hard. So that's it for the pilots. Onto the ships. You gotta play 3 Slip Rider. You'll always play 3. I don't understand how some people cut this card to 2. Like, popping spell and trap cards is very nice. Popping Cosmo Town to get a search is even better. And on top of that, like, this card makes Cyber Dragon infinity, so why would you not play it at 3? Because you want to see this card as much as possible. You also run the 1 Landwalker. Landwalker is very good because it provides the protection as well as the redirecting, and redirecting is very good in the game. Like, I really like Landwalker. And we decided to throw Dogfighter back into the deck, and the reason I got Dogfighter in here is because Dogfighter's very nice for late game. If you do not have a good reliable backbone to like extend your plays, like maybe you just need that 1 extra turn, so using Dogfighter to generate that token for no life points or anything is very good, and I really like Dogfighter as a 1-of. It's usually my my typical tin can search now, just because Dogfighter allows me to at least have another turn most of the time. For the level 7s, we do run the 2 Forerunner. You run 2 because you don't want to banish the 1 off of Desires, and on top of that, Forerunner is really good just because he can't be targeted. And he's also a 2800 beater, which means that he can crash with the Kaijus that we run in the main deck, and like, it's just very good. Also, one thing I didn't say about Landwalker is Landwalker is a 2400 beater, which crashes with the other Kaijus that we run. So, 2 Forerunners. And last, we have the 1 Dark Destroyer. It's very upsetting to see this card at 1, but everybody knows this card was broken. And then the 1 Eclipser to round out your Cosmo ships, just because we knew you wanted another name, and this one gets the Cosmos out of the graveyard, and on top of that, he can't be targeted, plus he negates trap cards, and he searches Dark Destroyer. Very good, but that level 9 really stinks. So that's it for the Cosmo monsters. And as I did say, we do play the Kaiju engine. 2 Kumongus, 1 Radian, 1 Dogaran, and then the 3 Slumber. I really like this ratio. just because Kumongous has a low attack stat. You can crash him with Landwalker. Radiant has a good attack stat, 2800, and on top of that, you crash with Forerunner. This crashes with Eclipser and Dark Destroyer, but that will never come up. And then 3 Slumbers, just because like getting the Dark Hole effect to float down from the ships is really cool. And on top of that, this searches a really good out engine, like an outing engine for the meta. I just really love the whole philosophy behind the Kaiju engine in this deck. And so that's it for those. On to the actual, the rest of the spell cards. We do still run 3 Cosmo Town. A lot of people thought this card was going to get hit to 1. If this card got hit to 1, I would be incredibly depressed, because I love Cosmo Town. This card's so good. Getting cards out of the Banish Zone is great. Having the ability to shuffle back the brick cards in your hand to draw the same amount of cards is really nice. I love Magical Mallet. And when this card's destroyed, you get a search. It can search itself too, which is really cool. We also run the 1 E-Telly. This card was also hit to 1 on the ban list, but you still have to play the 1 because this is basically the best card in the deck. Then we do run triple Allure of Darkness. Look at that ulti. You run triple Allure of Darkness because like you run a lot of darks in the deck, and you can search your dark cards, and you can add them back to hand when they're banished with Cosmo Town, and just drawing cards is really nice. We do run the 1 Pot of Desires. If I had 2 copies of this, I'd run 2 copies, but this card's really expensive. It's like $80 at the moment, so I only have the 1 copy. And then 1 Sacred Sword of 7 stars. As soon as I get the 2nd Pot of Desires, I'm going to actually play 2 copies of this card as well. And the reason being is because I just want as many draw 2 cards in my deck as possible. Like, I don't mind running more than 40 cards in my deck, because I have Pot of Desires, which just literally gets rid of 12 cards from my deck, which is really good. And that's it for the draw power. And then the reason this deck is still playable is because we have 3 of this card right here, Gold Sarcophagus. If you don't know what this does, it's essentially a reinforcement of the army for your deck. It just says banish a card from your deck face up, and then during your 2nd standby phase after this card's activation, add that card to your hand. So basically, if you have Cosmo Town and this in hand, you'll use Gold Sarcophagus to banish the Dark Destroyer that's in your deck, and then play Cosmo Town and use Cosmo Town's effect to pay 800 life points and add that Dark Destroyer back to your hand. Like, that's so amazing. Being able to search your Dark Destroyer from the deck with ease is amazing, and this has no cost whatsoever. It's not once per turn, so if you open with multiples of these, it's not a brick card, it's not a dead card. Very good. I love Gold Sarcophagus. I will literally run this in basically any deck that can play from the Banish Zone. I'm going to be running like 3 copies of this. And so that's it for the spells. It's quite a bit of spells, but we have to play them. To the traps, Triple Call the Haunted. We were running 2 before, but now you have to play 3 because getting your ships that you reveal with Tin Can out of the graveyard is amazing. You need those ships, and if Dark Destroyer somehow goes to the graveyard, you have a card, a reliable card that will summon that Dark Destroyer out of the graveyard, so you gotta play the 3. On top of that, you want to see Dark Destroyer as much as possible, which is why I've been stressing it. So 3 Call the Haunteds, 1 Escape from the Dark Dimension. I don't need more than 1 of this, honestly, because like you only resolve this once a game. But Escape from the Dark Dimension is really nice because it's literally just a Call of the Haunted from the Banish Zone for any Dark Monster. So that includes Dark Destroyer, that includes Eclipser, that includes Sword Trooper, Landwalker, Dog Fighter, Radiant, if Radiant gets banished. It's such an amazing card. I really like this card. And then we also do run the 2 Cosmojos. We run 2 just because with 3, you're like having 3 Cosmojos does not provide you enough backbone because you might not always have a ship with how the Cosmos play now. So I only need the 2 because I want to like preserve my backbone, and then the 1 Solemn Warning just because it's, you know, the best card in the game. And so that is it for the main deck. I believe it is 44 cards. We do have to play a lot of cards because of Pot of Desires, and on top of that, you need to get your boards established as quickly as possible. So having more cards actually helps ensue that. So onto the extra deck, we run the 1 Leviair. Getting the Banished Psychics out of the Banished Zone is very powerful. 1 Break Sword. This card actually does come up now quite a bit because, like, let's say you have Break Sword on board and you have Cosmo Town. You can pop the Cosmo Town, pop an opponent's card, and then because of Cosmo Town, you'll get a search, which is really good. I love Break Sword in this deck. The one Dante, just because we do run cherries, and Burning Abyss is such a a really extending game that just getting rid of their Dante is really good. One Grand Pulse. If I had Gaia Charger, I'd probably cut the Grand Pulse for the Gaia Charger because this card never comes up anymore. But that's it for the rank 3s. Onto the rank 5s. The one Shark Fortress, I really like this card in this deck. Like, this is amazing. It's really good if you have an established board and then you make this, because like he redirects all attacks to him. And even though 2400 attack's not the best, having that like initial backbone is really good. But what else he does is you detach one, target a monster you control, and it attacks twice. So it has the Gaga Samurai effect, which is really, really cool. Sometimes you can make him attack twice just for 4800 damage, which is really good. But typically you want to use this with Farm Girl. So if you have this in Farm Girl, you detach, you target your Farm Girl, make it attack twice, and you get 2 searches with Farm Girl, which is really cool. But that doesn't come up all the time, but if it does, that's great. In testing, it makes sense. One Volcasaurus, like I said, you gotta play this card. It's a good burn damage card, and if we had the Gaia Charger, we'd run the Gaia Charger as well. One Pleiades. Pleiades is really powerful. Just having that compulse effect on your opponent's turn and on my turn is really, really cool. One M7. This card's decent. I'm not gonna lie, it adds that Dark Destroyer if it goes to graveyard back to hand. But if you don't want to play this card, just wait until the ABC Structure deck comes out, and then take this out for the ABC Buster Dragon, and then you're good to go. One Nova, because we play Infinity. Nothing to explain there. Infinity's amazing. One Odd Eyes Absolute Dragon. This card comes up quite a bit. Just having a card that, when it's destroyed, floats into your Synchro that says no effects in the battle phase is really cool. One Flare Metal, because you'll push a lot of damage on board, and then having this card just for consistent burn damage and putting your opponent on a timer is very, very crucial. This was the Synchro that I mentioned before. You'll summon this off when your Odd Eyes Absolute Dragon gets destroyed, and he just says no monster effects during the battle phase that your opponent can use, which is really cool. One Blue Eyes Spirit Dragon, just having a card. This is just a Ghost Reaper target, that's all it is. And then the one Stardust Dragon, because we can make this card very easily. And this card is also a really, really good card. Even though it's overrated, I really like this card just because it's a free negate. It's like Tree Toad for Cosmos essentially, which is really, really cool. And so that's it for the extra deck. Onto the side deck. 2 Maxi. We only have this card at 2, so we're gonna play the 2. The one Ghost Reaper. I only have 1 copy. If I had more, I'd side more. The one Ghost Ogre. I love this card. So Ghost Ogre, it's you can just E-Telly Ghost Ogre, and then you can just send Ghost Ogre to graveyard to negate, not to negate, but to destroy a card that your opponent uses, which is really cool. I love putting it's like a pseudo timer for my opponent, which is really cool. And then I also side the one Swords of Concealing Light. This card's pretty good. Just putting your opponent's, turning your opponent's monsters off, which is really, really cool. Flipping them face down, it's not bad, but just being able to, it doesn't target, which is really good. 2 Twin Twisters. Back row's a problem. Sometimes you need your cards in the graveyard. 2 Forbidden Chalice. Just having that ability to force your opponent to tag out is really, really cool. I love using this against Blue Eyes because they'll summon their Blue Eyes Spirit Dragon, you use Forbidden Chalice, and they have to chain out or else their dragon's basically dead for the turn. So the rest of the cards include 3 Anti-Spell. I love this card. If this card's insane, just says no to spell cards. It's so good. You can use it against Pendulums, Monarchs, Metal Foes, Blue Eyes. Really good against Blue Eyes. It's just good against every deck right now. You gotta play 3. 2 Pendulum Hole. This card just says no pendulum summoning, which is really cool. If you don't know what it does, I'll read it to you. When a monster or monsters, plural, would be pendulum summoned, negate the pendulum summon, and if you do, shuffle that monster or monsters back into the deck. So let's say your opponent wants to pendulum summon 4 monsters, you just let them summon their monsters, you chain Pendulum Hole, and then they all go back into the deck and the summon was negated, which is really good. I love this card. I wish this card didn't come as a common. I wish it was like a super or even an ultra. I wouldn't be upset. And then Starlight Road. Now the reason I wanted this card is this was the card that I mentioned earlier that summons our Stardust Dragon for free, but I wanted a way to protect my Call of the Haunted and my back row from from Twin Twister because that card's running rampant at the moment. I wanted a way to save those cards from being destroyed, because getting your ships out of the graveyard is very, very crucial. You need those Call of the Haunteds, you need those cards, and Starlight Road will protect like mass destruction, and on top of that give you a free monster that negates things, which is really good. But guys, that is it for this deck profile. If you really enjoyed the deck, please let me know what you think about it in the comment section. Also, tell me your suggestions if you've tried other methods. If you want to see the Dark Planet version, I have that coming up very soon. I just need to get one more Dark Planet. And but yeah, guys, that's pretty much it. Be sure to leave a like, subscribe, let me know what you think, and I will catch you guys later.